And a lot of times I'll see, wow, they're not in a good place. So I just say, hey, I try to focus on them, not in a intrusive way, but just really try to take a genuine interest in them so that they can see that they have an ally. And that's hard to do when someone has felt abused, neglected, or just been hurt. And especially if you're the person who has caused that. That's, I don't want to say impossible, but it's really hard. But if you're not, if you're an outsider coming in, to feel loved, to feel listened to, that tends to break down some of those walls so that they can actually see, oh, I'm not doing this, and I should be. But they're likely so preoccupied with their junk that they're dealing with that those things don't even register. That may not be the case, but it's often the case that I have observed. Would you say that could be true with the situation you're thinking about?
Yeah.
And that could take some time. And is it worth the development of that person? Is it worth what could be lost? And to me, that's working with people. That's why I think when you're dealing with like punishment, I don't see it as punishment. I see it as a developmental opportunity. And you work with that person to try to help get them to a better place. Sometimes they need consequences that will help them grow, but a lot of times those consequences aren't the punitive type of consequences. Because consequences can be good or bad. But it's really loving them and helping them see and feel that. And that will break down.
Kind of going off what you're saying, I know with me, like whenever I was grounded or whenever I got in trouble and like certain privileges were taken away, it really helped me to take a step back and to reflect on, especially like within this past year, like just take a step back and reflect on where I really want to see myself, on where I really want to go. Like if I don't have all the things that I think I should have or I think I deserve, well, why don't I have those? And who am I becoming? And I don't know if I did this so much as a teenager, but I definitely within this past year I've had opportunities to reflect. And like if I don't have certain privileges that I expect or that I think I deserve, it's just really interesting. Like, well, why don't I have those? And what do I need to change in order to get those in my life? Because we are at the end of the day, we are responsible for ourselves. At the end of the day, and like, no matter what we say or who we project our emotions on or like how we try and blame other people, like, it really just comes down to us and our decisions. And it's oftentimes just the tiny little decisions. And so it's just what you said about the whole punishment thing. I can just throw it in like my agreement with that, because I agree, like whenever things are taken away from me, that I think I should have them, well, why don't I have them? What do I need to change? And it really is an opportunity for growth. And I like how you said that's not a punishment, but it's a developmental process.
You've got to find the right dosage, the right kind and the right dose of help for that person.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn my desk around.
Can I just
Yes.
give a personal story that's been happening in my life recently? So, the other day, my friends from my single board decided that they wanted to go to a trip to the cabin, which is normal for singles board, right? They take trips like that. So I told my dad, because I'm still living at home because I just graduated and stuff. I told my dad that, hey Dad, so I'm not going to be home tonight because I'm going on a night cabin trip, you know? And he was saying how he didn't like sleepovers with boys or something. And I was like, it's not a big deal, like, I know these people, you know, we're gonna be in different rooms, like, it's not a big deal. And so, and so I went. And when I got back the next day, my mom told me I had declared war with my dad. And he took he took away my car privileges. So so I had been using their car, and I can't use it to go to work anymore. I can't use it to go to school or any activities at all. So I've been.
Question. Did your dad flat out say don't go, or did you say I don't feel like?
He didn't flat out say don't go.
So he didn't forbid you from going. Okay.
No. And so yeah, he like took my keys away and everything, and so now I have to. My mom goes to school here, but her class starts at 8, so she leaves my house at 7 in the morning. You know, this class starts at 11. So I have to leave my house now at 7 in the morning, and I stay here until class, and then she gets off of her classes at like 5. I have to stay after until like 5. And so it's really motivated me to get a car of my own because I don't want that type of power over me, you know, I don't know, I want my responsibilities. It's kind of been crazy week, so.
So how clear was your dad in saying that, like, you shouldn't go?
That's exactly what he said. He's like, I don't appreciate superficial boys here. And I said, Dad, it's fine, and I said what I told you guys. And
It was like a ward thing?
mm-hmm.
Okay.
And he said, you should just talk to your mom about it. But my mom never came home. So I didn't talk to my mom about it. So I left, and that's all he said about it.
They didn't try and call you or anything like that?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
He's very passive aggressive like that. Really hard to deal with. But anyways, story, motivation, getting a car. Punishments. Yeah.
I need to get a car, and I'm kind of really motivated to, especially since this morning I had to be at work at 5. I went outside about 4:55 to start my car, and it just made this hum. So I lifted the hood and everything, and I don't know what that spinny thing is right next to my battery, but it's cut a hole in my battery when it was leaking. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Cut a hole in your battery?
Yeah, I cut a hole in my battery. Yeah. And then my dad came out and he was like, well, it's not just that. You need a new starter too. Your starter's not even engaging. So, and I still need, I don't know what it's called. It's a little clippy thingy. But
I think that's the official term for it. Is the little,
it's the clippy.
go to Jiffy Lube and ask her, or like O'Reilly's, and ask for the little clippy
See,
thing.
the thing is, they know me and they know my car in Spanish work, so I pull in and they're like, okay, what do you need now? So I don't even have to say what I need. I can just walk out and show them, I need this thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's probably a sign you need a new car, too.
I'm doing
If they know you that
car.
well.
But yeah, it's sad.
Anything else, Kelsey?
Just got-
I don't know.
I just gotta say.
If I would just make a comment on Haley's thing, situation. I don't know your dad. I don't know his background, but I'm guessing at one point or another, or multiple points, that somehow he's been hurt to have an avoidant type of personality, to where he's become passive aggressive, and actually is probably hurting down deep from those, and doesn't want to be hurt. He knows it's not good to be aggressive, and so a lot in this kind of culture that we live in, it's easier to be passive aggressive because it's not unrighteous to be passively aggressive.
Yeah.
and yet it is. But I'm guessing that that could be the case, and that he really didn't mean harm by it. But passive-aggressive folks tend to not communicate very well.
Yeah.
And I see a lack of communication, because you didn't know, because usually to make a decision, you need to be able to have consequences. If you do this, then these are the consequences.
Yeah.
And it sounds like those were not clearly articulated. But from someone who has been hurt, I'm just guessing, and has a naturally avoidant personality to conflict or potential conflict, it's going to be hard for that person to communicate. Not because they don't want to, because they're fearful of being hurt or hurting the other person. Because I don't think he would ever really want to hurt you, but I think he's afraid of hurting you and your feelings. And so it's easier to withdraw. I don't know if any of that rings true to what you've observed, but that's been my experience.
Well, it's kind of hard because my dad, he grew up in like California and Alaska and like Florida, and he's basically seen every situation possible. Like in high school, he knew someone who killed someone because that person cheated with the girlfriend. So like in high school, marijuana was legal for him because it was Alaska. You know, like he's seen every single situation possible. And so it's kind of hard for me because I don't want to